Adam J.
And I'm Dale Zawinski.
And welcome to episode 0 of the Revenue Reimagined podcast, where we're going to be chatting up with revenue leaders across the entire go-to-market function about how revenue needs to be, well, you guessed it, reimagined.
So let's just get right into it.
You know, Dale, by all intents and purposes, we shouldn't be here, should we?
Yeah, no, I met Adam through a community. We were kind of going through one of the sales or revenue communities, and we had set a meeting up for a Monday, and I found out about a potential opportunity on a Friday. And I was doing a little bit of back channeling, trying to understand what the opportunity was about, and ended up saying, yeah, I'll go after the opportunity. And then I ended up finding out that you were also going after the same opportunity. And I had this crossroad for myself. I'm like, do I call him? Do I talk to him? So because we had the meeting booked, I decided to call you on Monday and just make sure that we were on the same page. So,
and I think that goes to kind of the mindset of this show, right? Most people would have done one of a few things. They would have either, called and canceled. They would have called, not told me that they were still that they were interviewing for the same role, and like tried to poke and prod about like what information they could get, and then kind of use it to undercut me and figure like, I don't know you, I don't give a shit about a friendship with you. Like I'm going to use this information. Right. You did the opposite. You were super transparent and you asked if I still wanted to have the chat. And while I'm certainly not in that role anymore, when I look back, like that was the start of a friendship. That was the start of what got us here. And when you look at building revenue teams and reimagining revenue, it starts with being honest, in my opinion, because we haven't been honest for years.
And just more collaboration and sharing ideas, right? So I've learned a ton from you. I've learned a ton of different things from the processes you take, the execution you do. And that's really what the podcast is all about. This isn't some other revenue podcast, some sales podcast. We're going to bring a bunch of sales leaders on and talk to you about top of funnel all the way through to close. We're going to bring together the entire revenue function. So what does that mean? Marketing, sales, CS, product. We may even sprinkle in some CS and finance into the mix.
I mean, your jacket loves some finance.
Hey, you got to keep it real.
You're going to get, so you do, you're going to get two different takes with us. And you saw it in everything from the album artwork to the way we act to what we're wearing. I'm definitely much more casual. Dale's a little bit more formal. But when you bring our approaches together, you actually get something really unique. And I think when you look at our guests and what we're going to be talking about, and we are so incredibly blessed to be booked out for over 6 months already before we even record this episode. Little teaser, we're going to have Jen Allen Newth from Lavender on with Kyle Assay from MongoDB at the same time. And we're going to finally find out which one of them is worse. But we're going to be talking about things like AI and revenue and how to build a social personal brand the right way. How do you do forecasting right in today's economic climate? What the fuck is RevOps? So many different things versus, all right, today's episode is going to be how to do a proper discovery call to lead into a demo that is effective. That is not the show. If that's what you're looking for, there's other shows out there for that.
Yeah, unsubscribe. No, and I think, you'll hear from a lot of people that you've heard from before. Like we have the best of the best in revenue, the best of the best in sales, the best of the best in marketing. But you're also going to hear from people that you haven't heard from. I think we can all agree on some level that LinkedIn becomes a big echo chamber. The feeds are getting all messed up. Things are like flowing up and down. Where I've learned the most over the last year, 2 years, is from people that aren't on LinkedIn posting all the time, but I've met in communities, had conversations with them. Revenue operations people.
RevOps people, MarOps people. You introduced me to someone the other week, and I'll give him a shameless plug here, but like you introduced me to David Maxey, who I've never seen on LinkedIn before. Just talking about building a model and proper forecasting and headcount and cost of goods sold and all that good stuff. And like one of the most brilliant folks that I've ever spoken with, that I walked away from that conversation with so much knowledge that I think our listeners would as well, that if you're not listening to a show like ours, you would never find David because he's not putting that shit on LinkedIn every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And or he may post something, or, somebody else from RevOps or marketing that doesn't have a ton of followers or doesn't post all the time, may post brilliant stuff that just gets like slashed by the algorithm. So
The
I'm super
goal of
excited. Like, we've been trying to do this for a little bit of time.
yeah.
It's a ton of work.
The goal of the show is multifaceted, right? I think number one, you and I believe very, very strongly in give versus get. And
Yep.
everyone who's come on the show has agreed to give something to the audience. More on how you will actually get that coming up later.
Yeah, and there'll be actionable tips that are coming out of each of these podcasts. We're not just going to be giving and having talking heads come through the podcast. We want you guys to take actionable items that you guys can take away right away. So we'll be distilling those into the newsletter, which we'll be delivering every week for you guys. And the give that our guests will be giving to the audience will be through that newsletter subscription as well.
To sign up for the newsletter, just go to revenue-reimagined.com. Super simple. And lastly, and probably most importantly, these episodes with every single guest are not scripted. We know who the guests are that we want because we want the best of the best. But what we're going to talk about is up to you. We want that feedback. Find either Dale or myself on LinkedIn, drop us a DM, or shoot us an email. It's very easy. It's either Adam at or Dale at revenue-reimagined.com. Tell us what you want to hear about. Because at the end of the day, you are the show. The show doesn't exist without every single one of you.
Thank you guys so much, and looking forward to kick this thing off.
See you on the other side.